Picture this. It's late at night. You're walking through the woods and you hear rustling in the bushes. You figure it's an animal, but then you see it. A tiny, goblin-like creature with glowing eyes staring you down before vanishing into the darkness. What the actual fuck was that? Are these mischievous little shits called Duende real? Or are they just another spooky legend to keep us up at night? From ancient folklore to modern day sightings, we're ramming headfirst into the twisted, weird as fuck world of these creepy ass critters. You've heard about elves, trolls, and goblins, right? But trust me, the Duende? They're on a whole other level of oh shit. Hang tight, because this is about to get epic. Alright, let's talk about the Duende. These little bastards are the stuff of nightmares, and sometimes dreams, depending on who you ask. So, what the hell are they? Basically, duendes are small, goblin-like creatures that hang out in the forest. Think mischievous little tricksters that either screw with your life or save your ass. There's no in-between with these guys. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Duendes aren't tied to just one culture. Nope, they've got global street cred. In Spain, they're like pesky house spirits, moving your shit around or helping you clean, but not in a cute way. In Latin America, these creeps are known for luring kids into the woods or hiding stuff in your house. Oh, and in the Philippines, they're more like earth spirits that live in anthills or trees. If you don't show them respect, you're basically begging for them to fuck with you. Moreover, these little shits have a dual nature. On one hand, they can be these weird, protective spirits, guardians of the forest or even your home. But on the other hand, they can be total assholes, playing tricks, scaring the crap out of people, or just causing chaos purely for the hell of it. One minute they're helping a lost traveler find their way, and the next, they're leading them straight into danger. You can't trust these dudes for a goddamn second. Whether they're protecting the forest or terrifying unlucky wanderers, the Duende's legacy is one you can't ignore. People have been telling stories about these creepy little fuckers for centuries. They're part of ancient folklore, yet their reputation still haunts people today. This video isn't just about folklore. We're going to get into sightings, creepy stories, and even some explanations for what these things might really be. Are they real? Are they just myths? Or is there something way more sinister going on here? Stick around, because you're about to find out. Let's get into the twisted-ass world of the Duende, these creepy little bastards who've been haunting people for centuries. Their origins go way back to Iberian folklore, Spain and Portugal to be exact. The word duende comes from dueño de casa, meaning master of the house. Fancy, right? Wrong. These ain't polite little butlers offering you tea. They're chaotic squatters, moving your shit around, breaking stuff, and scaring the crap out of everyone. Then, Spanish colonization happened, and these fuckers didn't stay in Europe. Nope. They hitched a ride across the ocean and popped up in Latin America and the Philippines. But they didn't just copy-paste themselves into the New World. Hell no. They adapted to local cultures like shape-shifting creeps. In Spain, duendes were a mixed bag. Sometimes they were helpful, like guiding lost kids home. But other times, total assholes, causing mischief, scaring people, and generally fucking up the vibe. When they got to Latin America, though, they leaned hard into their dark side. They became malevolent tricksters, luring kids into forests and stealing shit just for fun. In the Philippines, these little bastards got a nature twist. They're tied to the supernatural and often live in trees, anthills, or rocks. Mess with their homes, like chopping down the wrong tree or stomping an anthill, and they'll curse your ass with bad luck or sickness. But if you're respectful, they might actually help you out. It's a supernatural gamble. Be nice or risk a lifetime of oh shit moments. The regional differences are wild. In some places, they're helpful protectors, guiding travelers or guarding homes. In others, they're straight up malevolent little dickheads who mess with people just because they can. One thing's consistent though, they're always tied to nature and the supernatural. Think of them as nature's creepy little security guards. Disrespect them? Good luck, buddy, because they've got zero chill. Let's dive into some well-known duende characters. El Duende y su tambor. Ever heard of a magical drummer? This little shit's famous in Latin America. Picture a gnome-like dude with a red hat and a drum. His drumming has supernatural powers, healing the sick, bringing good luck, or leading people into a trance. He's all about protecting nature, warning animals of danger, or just jamming out to celebrate the seasons. But beware, his music can also fuck with people, leading them astray in the woods. Los Duendes de Piedra. These stone guardians from Spain are like creepy garden gnomes. Tiny stone figures scattered across Iberia, they watch over the land, guide lost kids, and protect travelers. But they're mischievous little assholes, hiding maps or making people lose trails. Blink and they're gone. They take their guardian duties seriously, but love to mess with hikers just for kicks. El Duende Travieso. This dude is Latin America's ultimate trickster. He's tiny, about 3 feet tall, with a big red hat and animal hide clothes. He loves to hide keys, tangle hair, or pull harmless but annoying pranks. He's also got magical powers like shape-shifting and disappearing. Despite his bullshit, he's got a good side. He protects forests and kids, blending naughty and nice like some chaotic neutral sprite. El Duende Verde. Meet Latin America's eco-friendly badass. This green-skinned forest guardian has a serious connection to nature. He can talk to trees and animals, keeping the forest balanced. If you're a dick to nature though, he'll fuck your shit up with some nasty tricks. Basically, he's a supernatural park ranger who doesn't take crap from anyone. Juanito y el Duende. This heartwarming tale is about a kid named Juanito who saves a duende stuck in a thorn bush. The little guy grants Juanito 3 wishes, but only if he uses them wisely. They become friends, exploring the forest together. When Juanito's village faces hard times, He uses his wishes to help his people, proving kindness and friendship can create real magic. El Duende de la Montaña. This mountain-dwelling spirit is known for its echoing voice, which guides travelers through treacherous terrain. It mimics sounds, bird calls, babbling brooks, to lead people home, or sometimes to screw with them. It's got a musical side too, and travelers leave instruments as offerings to keep this mischievous spirit on their good side. The Blue Duende. This water-loving little guy guards lakes in Latin America. Picture a knee-high, blue-skinned creature with a white beard and magic that controls tides and calms storms. Some say he was once a fisherman who drowned and now watches over the waters. He's protective but mischievous, like a tiny aquatic bouncer with an attitude. Duendes have been part of folklore for centuries, and they've stuck around because their stories resonate. Maybe it's the fear of the unknown, our deep connection to nature, or the universal appeal of a good creepy tale. Or maybe, and this is the spine-chilling part, there's some truth to these stories. Whether they're fucking with your house, leading kids astray, or guarding the forest like tiny pissed-off bouncers, Duendes have cemented their place as folklore legends. So next time you're out in the woods, tread lightly. You never know when you might piss off one of these tiny magical assholes. And trust me, that's a gamble you don't want to take. All right, let's get into the juicy stuff. Actual sightings of these creepy little elves. Because, let's be real, folklore is one thing, but when people claim to have seen these bastards, it adds a whole new layer of what the fuck to the story. And let me tell you, the Duende's been creeping on people for centuries, leaving a trail of terror and confusion in its wake. So let's go through some of the most chilling sightings. We're starting in Spain, where the whole Duende legend got its legs, or I guess its tiny-ass goblin feet. Back in the early 1900s, there were reports coming out of rural villages where people swore up and down they'd seen strange goblin-like figures lurking near their homes. Check this out. It's late at night. The only light is from a shitty candle or lantern. And suddenly, you see this tiny humanoid thing darting around the corner of the house. Yeah, hard pass. One of the most famous incidents came from a small village where multiple families reported seeing these little creeps hanging out near their gardens and livestock pens. They described them as short, like toddler-sized, with pointy ears, glowing eyes, and a general vibe of "don't fuck with me." The sightings usually happened at night, and people said the Duendes would steal food, move objects, or just stand there and stare, like total psychos. Of course, skeptics at the time wrote it off as imagination, wild animals, or just villagers being drunk off homemade wine. But here's the thing. Too many people were reporting the same shit for it to be brushed aside so easily. Was it mass hysteria? Or were these folks actually seeing some little shit lurking in the shadows? Fast forward to modern times, and the Duende legend is alive and well in the Philippines. In fact, it's thriving. Here, these little shitheads aren't just folklore. They're a legit part of daily life for a lot of people in rural areas. And unlike the Spanish duendes, which are more house goblin vibes, the Filipino version is deeply tied to nature. There are tons of stories, but one that really stands out is about kids playing outside near a tree when they suddenly start acting weird. Like really weird. Crying, talking to someone who isn't there, or straight up refusing to move. Parents rush over and find the kids pointing to something in the bushes, but of course, there's nothing there. Later, the kids tell their parents they saw a tiny man with a big hat laughing at them from the trees. And then there's the whole anthill thing. If you accidentally step on a duende's anthill in the Philippines, you're basically signing up for a world of shit. People claim that sickness, bad luck, or even full-on possession can happen if you disrespect a duende's home. There are even healers who specialize in appeasing these little guys, offering food or apologies to get them off your ass. It sounds ridiculous until you hear how many people swear it's real. Now let's head to Central and South America, where the duende's reputation takes a turn for the really dark. Down here, they're less about playful pranks and more about full-on chaos. People report these little assholes sneaking into homes, hiding things, or luring kids into the forest. And when I say luring, I'm not fucking talking about an innocent game of tag. I'm talking about kids going missing for hours, only to be found wandering miles away, dazed and confused. One story from Honduras involves a farmer who kept finding his tools missing. At first, he thought it was a neighbor fucking with him, but then he started seeing small footprints around his property, like way too small to be an adult's. One night, he swore he saw a shadowy figure darting behind his barn. When he went to investigate, he found all his missing tools piled up in the middle of the woods. He never figured out what the hell was going on, but he stopped farming there pretty quick. And in Mexico, there are legends about duendes targeting children. Parents tell their kids not to wander into the forest alone because the duendes will lead them off the path, deeper into the woods where they can't find their way back. Some people think it's just a way to scare kids into behaving, but others swear they've seen these creatures themselves. Tiny figures with glowing eyes, hiding just out of reach. Now, here's where shit gets wild. In the age of smartphones and social media, the duende legend has gone global. Over the years, there's been countless videos showing duendes caught on camera. You've probably seen at least one of these. Grainy footage of a tiny, fast-moving figure scurrying across the screen, or a shadowy creature lurking in the background of someone's home video. I've seen a lot of these videos personally myself. They trip me out every time I see them. One viral clip from Mexico shows a group of kids playing soccer when a tiny humanoid figure suddenly sprints across the field. The kids freak the fuck out and run after it, but whatever it was disappears into the bushes. Another video from the Philippines shows a small figure peeking out from behind a tree before vanishing. And let's be real, some of these videos are like, oh come on, that's bullshit. But every once in a while, you get a clip that makes you think, what the hell was that? From rural Spain to the forests of the Philippines and the jungles of Central America, people have been seeing and fearing these little assholes for generations. Are they real creatures lurking in the shadows? Misidentified animals? Or just our imaginations running wild, fueled by centuries of folklore? Whatever the answer is, one thing's for sure. The Duende isn't going anywhere. So next time you hear a strange rustling in the woods, maybe think twice before brushing it off, because you never know who or what might be watching you. Now that we've gone over the creepy sightings, it's time to dig into the real meat of the discussion. Why people are seeing duendes in the first place. Is it all in their heads? Or is there something more supernatural going on here? Let's break down the explanations, starting with the skeptics, then moving over to the believers. Grab a drink, because we're fixing to get into some serious what the hell is actually going on territory here. First, let's start with the skeptics, because let's be honest, there's always that one friend who refuses to believe in anything that can't be explained with a damn equation or some scientific mumbo-jumbo bullshit. And trust me, they've got plenty of reasons why they think these duende sightings are nothing more than the human brain playing tricks. One of the most popular explanations among naysayers for duende sightings is sleep paralysis. If you've never experienced it, let me paint a picture for you. You're asleep, but you wake up and can't move your body. You're fully conscious, but stuck in your bed. And sometimes you start seeing things. Shadows, figures, or tiny goblins lurking in the corner of your room. People who've had sleep paralysis often report seeing strange, sometimes terrifying figures, and a duende fits that description perfectly. It's also usually at night when people claim to see these little fuckers, which just so happens to be prime time for sleep paralysis to happen. And the worst part? It feels incredibly real. So when your brain starts hallucinating and you're staring at some tiny, freaky creature straight out of Trilogy of Terror, it's no wonder people believe in them. It's a mix of biology and the brain being a little shithead, creating false images in your head while your body's still on lockdown. Another skeptic explanation is childhood imagination. Let's face it, kids are the masters of coming up with creepy stories and imagining shit that isn't there. Add in the fact that many of these duende encounters happen in the dark or in places where kids are playing, and it's easy to see how a mischievous little creature could be invented. Think about it. When you're a kid, you've got a wild imagination, and if you hear an adult tell you a story about a creepy gnome who steals your socks or hides in the trees, suddenly your brain starts looking for that gnome. Kids might not even intend to make it up. They just convince themselves they've seen something. And when you mix in a bit of cultural folklore, you've got a recipe for kids seeing duendes everywhere. Then, of course, there's cultural conditioning. From the moment you hear a story about the duende, your brain starts priming itself to recognize things that fit the description. Tiny, mischievous creatures with glowing eyes. It's It's just like how people who believe in ghosts always seem to spot haunting things in places others might dismiss. If you've been raised with the idea of duendes in your culture, you're more likely to connect strange sounds or shadows to the creature, even if it's just your mind filling in the blanks. Now, let's talk about nature's role in all of this. Nature's a sneaky little fuck, and sometimes it sounds like there's something strange lurking in the woods, when in reality, it's just an animal taking a shit. A lot of duende sightings could be the result of misidentified animals. In the dark, you might hear rustling or see a small figure moving quickly, and boom, your brain decides that's a duende. In reality, it could be a raccoon, an owl, or any number of small nocturnal animals. Environmental factors are also a huge part of this. Sometimes wind can play tricks on you, whistling through the trees, creating noises that sound like whispers or footsteps. Ever been out in the woods at night when the wind picks up? It can sound pretty goddamn creepy. And if you're already primed to believe in something like a duende, you might interpret those sounds as something far worse. So, is it really a duende, or is it just nature being a little too loud for comfort? Alright, now let's flip the script and dive into the believers' camp, where things get a little more spooky. For people who truly believe in the duende, these creatures are definitely more than just figments of the imagination or misidentified animals. They insist there's something deeper going on. Let's unpack the reasons why they believe in these little dudes. One of the strongest arguments believers make is the consistency of duende stories across different cultures. Sure, they might look a little different in each place, sometimes friendly, sometimes downright sinister, but there are a shitload of similarities in the way people describe these creatures. Tiny figures with glowing eyes, mischievous behavior, and an affinity for playing tricks or leading people astray. It's not just one culture that believes in these creatures. We're talking about a global phenomenon. Spain, the Philippines, Latin America. These little fuckers show up in each place with remarkably similar characteristics. So, believers argue, how the hell could so many cultures with no contact between them all come up with nearly identical descriptions of these creatures? Maybe there's something to it. Maybe these creatures are more than just myth. They're real. Believers also point to the locations where people typically see duendes: rural areas, forests, and places that are untouched by modern society. These places are often associated with the supernatural in many cultures, and people believe that's where the duende is most active. It's not some urban legend that lives in the city. It's out in the wilds, hiding in the trees, fucking with anyone who gets too close. If these things were just the product of imagination, why would so many people throughout history have the same experiences in the same kinds of places? Could it be coincidence? Or is it that these little pricks really do exist in different corners of our world, waiting for the right moment to reveal themselves? So, what's the final verdict? Are duendes just a bunch of psychological fuckery? Or is there something real going on here? The answer lies somewhere in between. Whether they're the product of cultural folklore sleep paralysis, or maybe even a tiny critter hiding behind a tree, there's no denying that the Duende has had an impact on cultures around the world. Whether you believe in them or not, these little creatures have left their mark on our collective imagination, and maybe that's all that matters. Alright folks, we've unpacked a ton of shit today. The Duende, their origins, their lore, their sightings. We've seen how skeptics chalk these things up to psychological nonsense or misidentified animals. And we've also heard the believers argue that these little goblins are way more than just myths. But here's the thing. Whether you think they're just a product of overactive imaginations or something genuinely lurking out there in the dark, the fact is that the Duende has persisted across cultures for centuries. I mean, seriously, how many legends and cryptids can you think of that have managed to stick around through so much time and across so many different regions? Spain, the Philippines, Latin America, and beyond. Each place has its own spin on the Duende, but they all share common themes. So, whether it's just a cultural tale passed down through generations, or if there's something more sinister at play, the truth remains. The Duende is here to stay. So, let me ask you, are these little bastards just creatures of myth? Or do they lurk in the shadows, waiting to be discovered? Could they be real, watching us from the forest, the corners of our rooms, or maybe even hiding behind a tree right now as we speak? I don't know about you, but the idea of a tiny, glowing-eyed trickster stalking around gives me the chills. I want to hear what you think. Have you ever had an encounter with a Duende? Or maybe you've heard a creepy story from someone who swears they saw one. Drop your thoughts or personal experiences in the comments. I'm genuinely curious about what you all think. Are we all just falling for a myth? Or are these little creatures out there waiting for their next victim? And hey, next time you find yourself in the woods, don't forget to keep an eye out. You never know who might be watching. It might just be the Duende, ready to play its little tricks on you. Stay frosty. If you dig this video, tap that like button and subscribe. That way, you won't miss out on more of my fucked up commentary. And besides, I really do appreciate it. Y'all reckon a Duende would make a good pet? Let me know in the comments. And last, but definitely not least, click on that join button just below the title and become part of my YouTube membership. For as little as $2.99, you can help me out more than you know. Yes, I'm that easy. One more thing. Y'all keep it real, keep it chill, and stay creepy! Catch you on the flip. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. You are the real beast.